You guys, you're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's time to get comfortable, grab some popcorn, your favorite soda, or as they say here in Chicago, pop. It's like pop is when you smack somebody. I don't know what they're talking about. But anyways, this is going to be fun, and I'm going to tell you what this show is about. This show is about bringing outlandish and interesting topics to the forefront, from aliens to angels, ghosts, demons, holy encounters, shadow people to Bigfoot to the outlandish. I always say if it's weird, we're here. And now you are too, so you're among friends. If you do not know who I am, when it comes to the outlandish, personally I'm someone who has been there, seen that, experienced it, freaked out, found some answers, wrote about it, got over it. I think I did. And now I'm hoping to help others do the same thing and understand more about this crazy world we all live in. It's always very colorful. If you want to learn more about me, go to my main website, which is HeidiHollis.com. It's really difficult if you don't know how to spell my name, as I discovered somebody really got very inventive in spelling Heidi. I mean, like Hiedi. Oh my goodness. It was like, I have seen some crazy spellings, but it's just the old German way. And on that website, you're going to find so much there. And I also want to invite you guys to check out my paranormal comic strip, which is called The Outlanders. Go to theoutlanderscomic.com, and you can also find it on Inception. And millions of you are enjoying it, so I thank you for checking it out and enjoying it and getting some fun feedback from that. And I'm going to tell you guys how you could also hear this show, this whole network, actually, in the most popular way. But I don't know. There's other things rivaling. We're getting so many different outlets going on. Inception Radio Network app. IRN apps. Everybody loves it. And, you can listen to us at any time with that. It's pretty fantastic. And you could also just dial a number. My parents love this option because they're not very tech savvy and they don't want to bother with things. So 712-770-8888. And you can call into the show at any time. I know, because most of you guys listen to this show past the live broadcast. I know we don't get a ton of people calling in every once in a while, but it's all good. The lines are open. 1-888-919-2355. And you know what? If it isn't live, just call so you can bug MJ. I think it goes straight to his cell phone and wakes him up in the middle of the night. I'm sure he would really appreciate that. So just do that. He's probably rolling his eyes right now. He's producing. So anyways, also, you could go on Skype and send your comments and questions on over that way as well. And if you go to irnchat.com, there are usually people gathered in there chatting it up, and they can post their comments and questions, and so can you. I could especially catch it if you put it all in caps, because it gets hard to just double time and read and listen and all that good stuff. So yeah, come on over and chat and join some others that are interested and intrigued into these odd topics. Oh, we are never bored, I am telling you. So live chat. Remember way back when, how fun those were? AOL. Yeah, this is even more fun. So anyways, I am going to hop right on over and introduce my fantastic guest for this evening, Marie D. Jones. She is the best-selling author of over 15 nonfiction books on the paranormal, ancient knowledge, unknown mysteries, UFOs, and cutting-edge science. She has been a guest on over 2,000, count 'em, 2,000 radio and television shows, and mine is her favorite. I'm just kidding. Including some of the biggest names out there. She's written for Intrepid Magazine, New Dawn Magazine, Paranormal Underground, Paranoia Magazine, I think we're all paranoid, Atlantis Rising, and Fate. She's also an optioned screenwriter. Oh, yeah, if you want your story to be sold, I'm sure she would love to write it up and just have it put on the big screen. And is currently developing the Maybelline Cosmetics Empire family story for television, as well as numerous other projects under her production company called Where's Lucy Productions. Her websites are mariedjones.com and Where's Lucy Productions.com. Everybody give a round of applause for Marie D. Jones. We're going crazy here, Marie. Woo!
Hello there.
going.
Can I hire you just to say, where's Lucy? Well, I need an MP3 or something of your voice.
There you
to
go.
put on the website. Where's Lucy?
Yeah. I love the name. I love that name. You got to share why that name. That is rather unique.
So, well, I was trying to come up with a name for my production company, and I couldn't come up with anything that I liked. Well, my son said, call it Where's Lucy, because we have a cat named Lucy, and at least 20 times a day, one of us asks the other, where's Lucy? And it was just perfect. From that point on, it was like, that's it. That's the one.
That's pretty hilarious. Oh, my gosh. Is there a symbol with the kitty on there?
There is, yeah. The logo has a little kitty kind of peeking up over the letters, where's Lucy? And
I love it.
I mean, well, the cat is a lot older now. She's really old. She's almost 20. But, she still will kind of just go off and...
She's blind. Don't tell me Lucy's blind as a bat and you just can't find her.
She is blind as a bat. I don't think she can hear. If you hear any caterwauling in the background, it'll be her telling me it's time to feed her. But yeah, that just so funny how a name will come. Sometimes like trying to come up with a name for a book. I mean, this too. It's like you rack your brain, and then somebody will say something, or you'll be in the shower or on the freeway.
in the loo. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's funny how the brain works that way.
I don't have 15 books like yourself, so I mean, for me, it's like, it's a bit of a process, and you kind of break it down, but you get a general idea, and you're like, and then you just get those like goosebumps, like this is it. And you just know. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's awesome.
And then you find out somebody else has the book by the same name. Oh, jeez. Back to the drawing.
I was so sure that someone had the .com and book title of my new book coming out, The Other F Word. I was so sure. Nope. I've got it, and I got the site. Isn't that crazy? Wow. I was like, that really? Okay, it's mine.
Yeah. I'm in trouble before.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Even though they're listening to every word we're saying and spying on us, but they come in handy.
Of course. Hey, how did you like my little slide-ins there with your introduction? Because people don't know this, but myself and Marie, we chat at times, and there's a couple of things that you posted. You crack me up. I know you're a serious person, supposedly, but I don't think so, because these Facebook posts have me dying. And, as a writer, and you are so prolific. I mean, my goodness, you get people, and I've had it too, come up and say, hey, I have a fantastic story. I'm so great. You should write it for me.
Well, first of all, writing is serious, and a lot of the stuff I write is like, oh my God, it's so serious, research intensive. So when I go on social networking, all I want to do is be a goofball, because it's my way of like venting, after a hard day of researching something really serious.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten to the point where people kind of expect it from me. And But you know what? There's so much crap on social networking, people fighting and opinions and negativity. And I really don't feel like anybody cares about my opinion. But if I can make you laugh, then you're going to feel a little bit better, about going about your day. But yes, I have people all the time messaging, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but messaging or emailing, I have a great story. Would you write it? And I used to be really polite.
Yeah.
Oh, well, but, and now it's just, you need to write it. I have my own stories. Thank you. That's all I say now.
Well, that's why I generously offered that, anybody just approach you and ask in your intro.
Hey, if they want to pay me a large sum of money, I'll write their story. I mean, I think it's really funny that a lot of people assume writing is not hard work and that it's really easy. And I just finished a novel that I honestly was one of the hardest things I've ever written, because I didn't have a real detailed outline. and I sort of just wrote it as it went along. And I'm exhausted physically, mentally, emotionally. And if you say that, people just kind of like, oh, really? You don't even work.
There's a chunk of your soul in the book, for crying out loud.
And nonfiction is research and then double checking and triple checking and, oh my God, brain drain. But people assume because you sit and, work at home, it's not real work. And so they'll say things like, oh, I have a great idea for a screenplay. Will you write it? Will you pay me? So I'm not nice anymore just because it annoys me that people just make that assumption.
Yeah, my goodness. It's hilarious, though. But people, they come across so innocent, like they really think, yeah, you could just pop this out. But, jumping over to your 15 megalithic books that you've got out there.
I think I'm in.
Oh, you broke up there for a second. What was that?
Oh, I said I think I'm up to 18 now.
Oh! Jeez,
I'm up to 18. I know.
My goodness.
I don't know. I'm trying to compete with Nick Redfern, but I don't think I'm ever going to catch up with him.
That man, I think he lays in bed, throws one arm over onto the floor, onto his laptop, and lets it do the work while he's sleeping, because I don't get it. Yeah. I don't see how he does this stuff.
So you're making the rest of us look bad, dude. Jeez.
Yeah.
No, he's wonderful. I love every book that he writes. But
yes, he's very cool. My goodness. So you have books on, I don't know, what do you not have a book on? Okay, we got super volcanoes, we've got aliens, we got mind wars, we got viral mythology, power of archetypes, the hybrid king, the deja vu, enigma, everything sounds so juicy.
Gone are the days when I'll take any writing job. I just really want to write what excites me, because if you're going to spend, especially nonfiction, if you're going to spend 6 to 9 months writing and researching and writing, and then another several years talking about it, it has to be something that you really are excited about. Otherwise, it's just not worth the work. It's just not worth it.
That's true. You put out a book, and especially on these topics, they kind of are timeless, and you will forever be asked, when you wrote this paragraph on page 302, I really liked that quote there. And it's like, huh? What?
I'm like, I wrote that?
Yeah. Oh, boy. Man, I don't have as many, and I get those moments.
Is now... did I say it's hard now because it's hard to come up with new ideas that haven't been written about by, a million other people.
Yeah.
So especially with nonfiction, and then if you try to, for me to try to stay in the niche that I've sort of been in, which is paranormal, metaphysics, ancient knowledge, that kind of niche, it's getting really, really hard to think up anything new. And I actually ventured way outside because my next book is a disaster survival guide.
Ooh.
So that doesn't have any ghost anything in it.
It's appropriate for the times, and the those that are in power and what's going on in the world. So yeah, we need to know this stuff.
Something that I'm really well trained in, and I thought I really want to start writing about things that I know about, in my normal day-to-day life, and I was really excited to be able to do that. The book that I'm working on now is about famous ghosts and famous haunted locations. And it's really fun because it's just, the research is just fun. Oh. It's like ghosts of Abraham Lincoln or Marilyn Monroe or what have you, and notorious haunted locations. So that'll be fun. But sometimes it's like, I can't think of anything new under the sun when it comes to the paranormal, which kind of says something about the field, that there isn't a whole lot new to talk about, or that guys like Nick and David Weatherly and other people haven't written about and done a much better job than I could ever do. So it gets hard.
Oh, I bet. I bet. My goodness, but you ventured off into script writing. Tell a little bit about what is it that you're doing?
Well, I actually started out when I was a teenager writing fiction. I wanted to be a novelist, writing short stories, and then I started when I was in my early 20s writing screenplays. So that's actually what I started doing. And then I kind of veered off into nonfiction almost by accident. I really had never planned on writing nonfiction. It just sort of fell into my lap.
Yeah.
And it was, I kept getting asked to do more and more books to where I kind of was exclusively doing that for several years. And then up until a couple of years ago, I started feeling like, oh my God, if I don't do something different, I'm going to scream. And I decided I wanted to pull out some of my old novels and revamp them, rewrite them, revise them, and my scripts that I had written, and write a bunch of new ones. And I had signed with a manager and an agent. And so that's all kind of, it sounds like it's something new that I'm doing to people that don't know that that's actually what I started doing and kind of detoured from. Yeah.
I see. Very cool. Well,
yeah, it's fun. It's all a different type of writing. So it's like a different exercise for your parts of your brain.
Right, definitely. And the interesting part, so you've got this real inventive creative side, but you are rather, how can I put it? You're rather scientific in your approach to writing about the paranormal and other conundrums going on.
Conundrums.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I mean, we need that out there, a lot of people appreciate that angle, and it's so needed. So I mean, it's kind of an interesting, this is the thing. If we all just wrote about experiences, and if we all just wrote about, what happened here and there, and not backed it up with like the kind of research that you apply to things, I mean, it gives less credibility to the paranormal in general or these odd sciences. So, kudos to you for helping to lend some credibility in your brains and brain power to this. So, hey.
Well, thank you. And well, here's the thing. Okay, so I grew up with, my mom is like really creative. She's an artist and tells stories. My dad he passed away a few years ago. He was a geophysicist. He was a scientist. Mm. And so I grew up from a very early age. I loved science. I loved it. Any kind of, and he had a lot of textbooks and books around the house that, even though I couldn't understand a thing they were saying, because most of them were like astrophysics and physics and geophysics, I loved nature, and that was my introduction to science from when I was very young. So as I was growing up, but at the same time, I was totally into ghosts and UFOs. I'm talking from like 4 or 5 years old.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't think anything ever happened, and nobody seems to know of anything that did. But it's almost like I just had this awareness that, the world around me had a different level to it. And every now and then I'd kind of get a little glimpse of it, maybe somehow. And I was a voracious reader. I read books like they were going out of style. So I feel like I got to ride like both sides of the fence, the creative and the scientific. And as I got older, you hear it, like you said, people say, oh, I had this experience. Oh, I had this happen. And it got to the point where it's like, I want to know how. What are the mechanisms that might be behind? What is the science behind the paranormal? Because there is a science, and we don't know what it is yet. We're learning. I think, sometimes we get that game where you play, oh, you're hot, you're getting hotter, now you're cold.
Yes, right.
A little hotter now, and then we get cold again. So I'm almost at the point where, don't tell me your experience. I've heard them all. I want to know. I'm trying, for me, the fascination is trying to figure out the what and the how. And And I really do think that science can explain everything. It's just, again, catching up with it. And I think physics and quantum physics and, the science of consciousness and the understanding of the human brain and the mind, that's sort of the direction that I really like to look in and explore.
Wow, very cool, very cool. You know what? We'll have to talk after the show because I think I have something that may be a cool, groundbreaking topic for you to talk about in another book at some point. Yeah, something that's yeah.
Does it have to do with feelings?
It's a little different. I'll have to
remember our last discussion where we talked about the things on the ceilings.
That's right. Oh, that's funny. Oh my goodness.
I still have a hard time looking at the ceiling. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's so those types of things they just kind of stick with you, don't they?
And then it's like I watched a movie earlier, The Mist, Stephen King's movie. I've seen it 8 million times, and I never noticed that they had one scene where they look up and there are these things kind of hanging from cocoons from the ceiling, and I'm thinking, dang it, you see, don't ever look up at the ceiling, just don't.
My goodness. One of the things that I thought would be neat to talk about, and you suggested even for tonight, you have a book on demons. I mean, this lady I don't think there's any dark cave this lady has not explored with her brain. And I'm like, demons. Tell us a little bit about that book. I mean, there is no crevasse. You dug deep. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Well, so my agent Lisa said, there's a new publisher that would like to work with you, Visible Ink Press, and I didn't really have an idea. They kind of came to me and Larry with this idea to do a sort of almost like an encyclopedic book, because that's what they do. Their books are huge and they're really long, on demons, the devil, and fallen angels. But from a sort of objective point of view where they wanted the history of like these concepts and how did they evolve in religion and mythology and, past history and how we view them today and the influence of pop culture. I mean, every possible thing you could think of is in this book. It is absolutely comprehensive, and that's because that's what was expected of us. So it's not necessarily a book that I would have chosen to write, mainly because I like demonology and those types of things. They're not super fun to write about.
Yeah, gosh, yeah.
And it's creepy and it's scary. And also it's just, I was like, oh, really? My God, the history concepts, that's going to take forever. But it was absolutely fascinating to do and to learn, how the whole idea of evil came about and the duality of good and bad and just sort of trace the evolution of these ideas to present day. So I think this book, I think we covered everything.
Wow.
Nobody's emailed me yet and said, oh, you forgot to write about,
Jeez. Do you have a most despicable demon that you've come across?
Well, so here's the thing, and I know, a lot of people are going to think I'm full of crap, but hey, I'm the writer. I get to say what I want.
That's right.
One of the things about researching is that you go to the point of origin and you try to find where a concept or an idea began.
Mm-hmm.
All of my fears over these subjects disappeared by researching the origins of the concepts of good and evil and how, when we were, primitive human, looking at the world around us, natural things that were happening, whether it be a wonderful rainstorm that allowed, green plants to grow that we could then eat, to a volcanic eruption that killed half of our tribe or village or whatever,
Yeah.
we started to categorize things as good and evil, or good or bad. Good or bad for me personally and for my group,
Okay.
my family. And so from there, it evolved from there, and different religions put their stamp and their spin on it, and mythology and folklore and fairy tales. So, which all to me is so fascinating because I love seeing the way things have evolved. It's almost like watching a little seed become, a big giant tree. But the weird thing is that I was really scared, and people were telling me, don't write about these subjects because you're going to get attacked by demons. Don't say their names. Don't have a lot of respect. And I got really scared because I am kind of a suggestive, you say things to me and I will kind of look around like with the ceilings.
You got to share about that ceiling thing.
Don't like spiders on ceilings. So, but I kind of thought, well, let me, it's like trying to get over the fear of heights. Let me try to work with my fears by really looking at where a lot of this came from. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but the general, what really fascinated me was the core concept that we have this need to identify and categorize things based on what they do to us. And that began from the first day that humans, crawled out of the water and decided that an asteroid impact, bad.
Right.
Yeah. A tree full of edible berries, good. That was really cool. But there's a lot of really creepy stuff. Like, there's no way in hell that I would go into a haunted museum by myself with dolls and clowns in it. Okay, I'm not stupid.
You're not gonna do it. Right. It's like, look,
For me, going back to the science part of it.
Yes.
One thing that's always kind of fascinated me is, do we have something to do with, the manifestation of these things? Do I have to believe in something in order for it to influence me or be a part of my reality? And I'm not a Christian. So I wondered as I was writing, and Larry's Jewish,
Okay.
And so I wondered, like, does that have anything to do maybe with the fact that I've not had to deal with these things, or am I just lucky? So it opened up a can of worms. Times that I really felt nervous is somebody, and I don't remember if it was David Weatherly or somebody said, when you start to write about demons, you're going to have a lot of computer and cell phone issues, like, technology, like tricksters. And that did happen.
Oh, see?
But that also happened when I wrote, that happened even worse when I wrote with Larry Mind Wars about cults and mind control and MK Ultra.
Oh, that's because they're spying on you, of course. I mean, come on.
So, I'm kind of like, what's going on here? But maybe is it my fear that's like, emanating outward and affecting my technology? Or are these little, are they trying to let me know, hey?
Or hey, the government were the demons.
Yeah.
We've got to get to our first break. You guys, you're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander, and we will be right back with Marie D. Jones. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander. Remember, always if it's weird, we're here, and so is Marie D. Jones, who's just as weird as they come. So we were talking a little bit on touching on the demon topic, because you've got this thick book of demons. I mean, I thought I talked about demons, and you're aware of the Hat Man phenomenon. What do you think about that whole phenomenon? Because so many people have witnessed it, and you're talking about potentially how, are we conjuring this stuff up on our own? And, there's a whole sleep paralysis, theory out there where they think that, we're all hallucinating the same hallucination. I mean, you're more of a scientific sort, so what's your thoughts on it?
It's funny, and thank you, by the way, for your wonderful contributions to the book in those areas, because I think this is like the next, what is it, Star Trek, where they say the next dimension of something. I think where paranormal research is going is in the direction of looking at the possibility that some of these things are not of this world. And I don't mean that in an alien UFO, they're from Saturn sense. I mean that more as they may be from other realities, parallel universes, or other dimensions. And as science fiction-y as that sounds, there's really a growing body of scientific, I don't necessarily want to say proof, but just, sort of corresponding evidence that really points to that possibility. So these things act like they're coming in and out of our reality from somewhere else. And
definitely.
They just don't have the same, and I think even ghosts, I think for so long we just decided that ghosts and UFOs and cryptids were all from somewhere on Earth or somewhere in our solar system or our universe. But now we have the possibility of looking at the idea that they exist alongside of us, often outside of our perception, which explains, I think, why some people see things and some people don't. We all have a different perception on things, and that they may be interdimensional. Larry and I call them IDEs, interdimensional and entities.
Oh.
And just with the Hat Man and Shadow People and, those sort of just Mothman, this really bizarre, creepy, very otherworldly entities that we can't really categorize them as ghosts, and we really can't call them aliens. But they're not coming from, Zeta Reticuli.
You know what I don't like about that thought? It's like, hold on, all these creepy things can get the drop on us when they feel like it, but apparently we don't know how to poke our heads in there without having a crystal ball or a crystal under our pillow or something. I mean, that's not quite fair. I don't like these things getting the drop on us and swooping down.
Maybe when you have nightmares, that's exactly what you're doing.
Oh,
but let's look at aliens. So really advanced civilizations are going to be able to do things that we can't, or a less advanced civilization can do. And so these, whatever these things are, they may have laws of physics in their reality that allow them to come through and manifest here and then go back to where they're from. And we don't understand those laws. So we call it, magic or supernatural or whatever. And it just could be a different set of laws of what governs living things or whatever, in these other realities. And I think a lot of that could be the same with like these cryptozoological creatures where people will say, well, my husband and I were out for a walk and all of a sudden this thing just appeared and it had these red glowing eyes and then it sounded like static and it just sort of popped out of existence. And you hear that over and over and over again, and even with UFO sightings and even some types of apparitions, to where it sounds like something is trying to almost project itself into our, three-dimensional world from somewhere else. And it sometimes people will say things like, well, it wasn't really solid. It looked like it was transparent.
Or blending with shadows like the Hat Man's able to do, though he can be quite
made out of shadows and or an absence of light, if you want to put it the other way. But I liked what you said before. I mean, is it possible that the darkest recesses of our minds are creating these sort of fearful images? I don't know. I really don't know.
I just don't. It's like, what are the odds that we are all seeing the same darn thing? I lean towards this is really something, because it's just too particular. I mean, a hat, a suit, a cape, a trench coat, really. It's like glowing red eyes. It's so, and I still get emails saying, I thought it was the only one. It still get those. They're just blown away. I'm like, we are definitely getting like dropped in on without our saying, that's okay, come on in, buddy. Over here in Chicago, I don't know if you've heard, but Chicago in the movies, we're Gotham City for Batman. There is a real Batman here. Did you hear about this creature flapping around kind of like Mothman?
I did, yeah.
It's crazy. I live right close to where they're seeing this thing, and you just can't go down by the lake. I'm like, where are you? I put down some Cheetos. Here's some Cheetos. I got a bag of Cheetos. Come on.
Yeah. How funny.
It's like, what are these things?
People misidentifying something, and then it kind of goes viral, and everybody gets all excited. Like, okay, so here's a good example of that. So a few months ago, when SpaceX launched one of the rockets at night, everybody was calling me and texting me, oh my God, you got to come, there's a UFO. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So I ran outside from where I was and looked up, and it was like, oh, that is really freaky. But just, going on Twitter, and people were talking about the name of the rocket, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
But before, we knew what it was, we were, like my family and friends, we were all telling each other, oh my God, it's a UFO. So
and oh my God, Marie's not nuts. Right.
Like you see the Hat Man and you're terrified, right?
Right.
And so you tell a really close friend, I can't talk about this with anybody, but I saw this horrific thing. That person, is the power of belief and suggestion strong enough to get them to think they saw it? Or, like you said, is it the simpler explanation? It's just there, and it doesn't appear. They don't appear to everybody because they're not walking around like the neighborhood. They're popping in and out of existence. And it seems that none of them really can stay in our reality for very long. Almost like, how long does the average sighting of anything last? Usually just a few seconds. Maybe with lights in the sky, UFOs, a few minutes. But most of the people that I know that have seen ghosts, the sightings seem to be brief, almost as if they can't stay here long enough to, for 2,000 people to see them.
Right.
So I don't know. And I'm just really fascinated by asking those questions. Like, why is this stuff so erratic? And why is it that you and I could be in the same room and you will see an apparition and I can't see it?
Right.
Are you imagining it? No. I mean, maybe, your sense of perception is a little skewed from mine to allow you to see the X-ray spectrum, or to hear things that I can't hear. There was a really cool thing on Facebook a while back. I don't know if you did it, but somebody posted it, went viral. And it allowed you to listen to frequencies from the very, very low infrasound all the way up, way, way, way high, like higher than a dog could hear. And so what people were doing is you play it, and then you would comment at what frequency you could start to hear. Oh. And it was really, really interesting to see the variations. Not everybody starts to hear at, 114,000 whatever megahertz. Everybody was a little bit different. And some people could not hear like the deeper sounds, and others couldn't hear the really high pitched frequencies. So is it the same with the paranormal? Is it the same with our vision? That, you might be able to see a shadow man in the corner, and there's something about the way my eyes and my brain is that I'm not able to perceive it.
That makes sense. And you know what I find absolutely fascinating, and I wonder what you think of this. I do another show called UFO Headline News, and oftentimes I'm reading these reports of people that are watching something. They could be watching a UFO for moments to minutes, and the second their eyes look away, they can't find it again. It's like there's a connection for that amount of time. It's like, don't look away. Don't try to grab your phone to take a picture. Don't try to get your friends. But sometimes they can get their friends, but less often not. And it's just gone. It's like, I just looked away for a second. It's like, is it the way light is refracting on our eyes, just that certain moment, and we're able to keep track and keep in tune? I mean, or are they aware that they're allowing themselves to be seen? I mean, what do you think that is?
And it could also be like, so, you know, when you're out in the country or out in the boonies and you're trying to get your favorite radio station, only the broadcast strength or whatever is not real strong. So you're kind of, you can hear half a song and then it's static and then you can't hear anything and then the song comes back and then another station kind of breaks in. I wonder if it's like that with this energy, with the visible energy, the visible part of the spectrum that we're working with, that it kind of fluctuates in and out of our vision or in and out of our perception, just like a distant radio signal will kind of, come into tune and then go out of tune and then disappear completely and then come on really strong when you walk around the other side of the house.
Yeah.
And because that's where the, antenna is, and it could be something as simple as that. And I also kind of feel like, are we, are we supposed to see this stuff all the time? Maybe the way that our brains are structured and built, we're not supposed to perceive other realities. Because think about it, and
we'd go
really
bat crap crazy
feel
if we
strongly
did.
about this. If you do, how are you ever going to focus on one reality and
Right.
actually live a life? You'd be going crazy.
Yep, bat crap crazy. I'm sure of it. I cannot help but to wonder too with some of these UFO reports that I go through, and I go through quite a few, and the people that are looking at their I had a story I was reading recently, and this gentleman is looking at their iPad, and they're filming this really cool place that they're vacationing, and they're snapping pictures. On the screen, they see clearly a black mass, and it's like kind of triangular shaped like a UFO, but it's distorting the air around it. And they move the iPad down, there's nothing. They move the iPad back, it's there. And they have several pictures, and they're like, I'm not seeing things. What is going on here? It's like, what is the difference between the frequency or the way that our eyeballs can take something in and our camera lenses are able to get it? I mean, orbs and rods and all sorts of stuff. It's like our skies can be ridden and riddled with so much. But
think about your
crazy.
pets, right?
Yeah.
If you have a cat and even dogs, but it gets more prevalent with cats, and they'll just start kind of staring at the wall and like, their eyes are darting around and they're seeing different spectrums of the electromagnetic range of frequencies like the X-ray and gamma ray or whatever. I know. Well, I mean, yeah. So take an X-ray. We can't see inside our arm or our leg, but an X-ray can. So it's almost like the X-ray has a better perception of a reality that we can't see than we do. And so maybe a camera, the way that a camera processes light and filters light and records light is able to get that, able to capture it where our own eyes just fail to. I don't know, but it seems like there's stuff there that our cats and our dogs and sometimes even little children will do that too. They'll act like they're talking to somebody. They'll be staring at something and you're like, what?
Now, there's an angle there, Marie. Now, to see how do a child's vision develop compared to an adult's vision that they're interpreting, because these little stinkers, they sure can see better than we can, this other world that's interacting with ours. I don't know what it is, but I've been in a crowd of people with a UFO sighting, and I clearly and distinctly saw a diamond-shaped UFO that was purple. Half of us saw purple, half of us saw blue. And described it not being diamond shaped. Some said it was just triangular shaped. And I'm like, it was clearly like two pyramid bottoms put together, tumbling through the sky like dice, is what I saw. And not everybody saw that. And I've heard
some people won't see anything, right?
Yes, and like there was also, I think it was a Medjugorje miracle where they said they saw Mary or whatever, the dancing sun, and some said they saw a UFO. It wasn't a dancing sun. It's like, our interpretations, the way it hits our eyeballs and processes through our brain, something is askew, or somebody's drunk or high. I don't know which one it is.
Well, we, as similar as we are, we're also all different in the way that we perceive things. But what's interesting with children is one of the things that I learned is that up until the age of about 7 or 8, children's brain waves are mainly alpha. And those are the waves that are present during, really good awareness and even meditation, because when you're meditating, you're very much aware of the present. You're aware of the present moment. And then as they get older, the alpha, it's not the most prevalent brainwave, and it certainly isn't for adults. And I always thought, I wonder if that is, their brains are just a little bit sharper, a little clearer, a little more aware of their surroundings, probably because children need to learn everything. They're learning as they go. Everything is new to them. So they need to perceive as much as they can. And then as adults, we just are like so jaded and distracted, and half the time we don't know what's going on to the right or left of us. And it's like something could walk right past you and you're going to be so distracted, or just maybe tired, or not quite focused the way that a child is focused on every single experience, as if it's, because it's new to them. So they're just totally there. And I always thought that, because I remember when I was a kid, you remember that feeling of awe and wonder that you have looking at a leaf.
Right.
A leaf, big deal,
Right. And I got to rank those things.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was fascinating. One thing that Larry Flaxman learned from some paranormal experiments that he did, excuse me, is that one of the prevalent brain waves that he saw during people who claim to be psychic or channeling, or, mediums talking with spirits, was gamma. And that was really kind of surprising, because nobody had ever talked about the gamma waves before. It was always in the deeper state, it is if you're asleep or you're in a really deep, deep, deep meditation. So it's kind of like, okay, we're still figuring out our own brains. And, we keep trying to explain this stuff as being external to us, and we don't have anything to do with it. But the truth is that we do, because we're the ones observing it.
Fascinating. Where do you, I always wonder this, and there's like this ethereal debate of what is the soul attached to? Is it our solar plexus? Or is it the brain? Is it it's like, is there a certain point that in all of your things that you've come across, is there a consensus or a more popular answer to, where's the point of entry?
God, is that like the debate that, continues and probably will never be solved? Because we still are debating about whether the brain and mind are the same thing. Right. Is consciousness located in the body, or is it external to it and acting upon the brain? And that's stuff that I think is like the cutting edge of, the new science, the science of mind and consciousness. And it, a lot of people will equate consciousness with the soul, whatever it is that's external to us, that carries on after we die, as if it is a separate thing from the brain. Like the brain is the tool that consciousness or the soul uses to experience life or express itself, whatever. But that is like, that's still a huge debate. And I tend to think that mind and brain are separate, two separate things. Your brain is a functional thing. It's a functional organ. And mind seems to be something that is not only external to it, but working through it to give you conscious awareness and, to sort of connect you to that higher reality. But the brain is part of the just purely physical human, what it means to be human. But that's just me.
Marie, I am not kidding you. Several years ago, I had a patient, God bless him, who put a shotgun in his mouth and blew off the top of his head. The man had no forehead and was walking and mumbling a bit, but how on mind and soul, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, was I looking at a 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, 4th-dimensional person? I mean, it was like, where's his forehead? Oh, he blew that off. What?
Oh, geez.
The whole thing. I'm like, I just don't understand. I'm like, didn't we need that? I thought we needed that.
I remember hearing about a little, a baby that was born without a brain stem. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. And it's alive. I don't think it lived very long, but I don't know. It's just so fascinating. And I remember reading, the brain is like a transceiver. It can transmit and receive information, but the information is coming from somewhere else. It's like
sure
the consciousness. Yeah, it's just, and I think when we have like a paranormal experience, really what we're doing is stepping outside of the very constricting confines of the brain to whatever else is out there.
Maybe his mind saw the bullet coming and jumped out of the way and tucked itself behind his ears. I don't know.
He didn't survive, did he?
Yes,
or
he did. He was walking, talking. It was.
Oh my God! That's creepy.
That's how I met the man. I was like, what? I didn't know him before he blew his brains out. But I mean, how do you go walking around talking to? I mean, come on. I was like,
that's really freaky.
It was beyond, and I hated when he took his helmet off because I could see what was left of his brain. I was like,
God.
No, put your helmet back on.
Put it back on, please. Well, it's also like those, like a savant or a prodigy where, part of their brain is active that's not in us, so they can speak 85 languages and play classical piano at the age of 3. It's just like, so other parts of the brain that are dormant, when they become active, we become these sort of superhumans. But we can also miss huge parts of the brain and still function. And, what the heck's going on here? Do we need this brain or not?
the brain injuries that result in people playing grand pianos, I've seen that as well. It's like, or getting the accents. I mean, it's just nuts. But we've got to get to our next break. This is fascinating. I love chatting with you about anything and everything. You guys are listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander, and we will be right back. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander. I've got Marie D. Jones, who is the guru of all things bizarre. How do you like that, Marie?
The bizarre guru. There you go.
There you go. With a scientific twist. I mean, that makes you quite unique. And to be a lady who does this stuff. I mean, it's a man's world, and in the science world most especially, and in the paranormal world. I mean, my goodness,
why is that? We're the ones that ask the most questions, and really kind of. I have found, and I'll probably get a lot of flack for this, but I have found that females in the paranormal will really tend to be more aggressive about trying to go outside of the box and think outside of the box. And I wonder if that's why I don't get invited to any conferences.
Well, you know what? I think, here it is. I named Shadow People in Hatman, and there's people going up there talking about my work. They don't invite me either. And I'm like, hold on, that's my book you're talking about.
Books, you just reference me, but you don't invite me?
Oh, they don't even reference. They don't even reference and make it seem like it came up with it all by themselves. I'm like, oh, really?
I did a radio show years ago and I forgot which show it was. It wasn't yours because yours is the best. But
of course.
The host said, have you experienced sexism in this field? And I said, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I never get asked to any conferences to talk about the books that I've written that have a little more of a science edge. And I said, probably because guys don't want some chick getting up there and knowing more than they do. You know what I mean? And that's the honest to God truth.
Yeah,
I've been treated like crap by a lot of people because I'm not just, one of these little starlets that chases ghosts and keeps their mouth shut.
Right.
I've written more books than most of the people that are out there speaking.
Yeah.
So,
Your
I don't know. I don't know if it's getting better or worse. I just kind of do my thing, and it's like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
But for a while it was really weird. It's like, hello, do you not know that I'm here? Hello? You just referenced my book Science.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
But the name Marie is female. Do you get that?
Right. But you know what? Your books do sell. I know that. I know your books sell well. It's just so bizarre, but yeah.
They need to sell, and that's, that's hard too. It's hard. And it's funny because, you and I share the same book agent, and one of the conversations that I've had with her is that we're finding that these types of books are not selling as well as they used to because people feel like it's on the internet. I can get that information for free. So why do I need to pay 10, 11, 12 bucks to buy your book? Now, they're not going to go find that information on their own because research is really hard work. But just that mentality of, well, I can find that. I don't need to buy the book.
Thanks for Google.
It's kind of funny. Yeah, Google. I'll find it on Google. It's like, but go look on Wikipedia. There you go.
Google has scanned all of our books, though, remember? They've scanned all of our books, and they are searchable on Google. And, just to back up a little bit what you were saying about, people like, oh, come on. They wouldn't judge you as a lady to go and talk about the paranormal and science. Oh, yes. You know how many times I have been approached by television producers who are like, they don't want a lady to be the main one. Can you teach a guy to do what you do, and then we'll have you as his sidekick? I mean, they pretty much have asked me that repeatedly. I'm like, I named and defined 2 paranormal phenomena, and you want me to give it to him to do? No, thank you. It's just crazy. I have been told that over and over. Oh, they don't want a lady to be the lead on this. Well, it's my work.
Yeah. And you know what? Then it gets to the point where you start to kind of catch on when these producers contact you.
Yeah.
Because I had one who just, we want you to be the lead person. And, okay, so can you do some research on this? And stupidly, I did it. And I gave her the research and never heard from her again. So now, excuse me, if anybody calls and says, oh, we have this show, could you research something? It's like, yeah, okay, pay me. $200 an hour for research. And that has happened. And hearing it that it's happened to you just reinforces for me the same thing. It's ridiculous.
Over and over. My favorite is when they call you and they're like, well, we'd like you to be an expert guest, but do you have some people who have experienced this as well, and you would be talking to them on it? They have no way to access people who have experienced things, so they try to milk you for all that you got with empty promises of stuff. And I'm like, look, I know this game. Talk to my agent, please, because I'm not playing it. It's like, no. It's like,
you're not getting it at me for free.
Oh, my God, the paranormal and UFO.
I gave up a social life for this.
People don't realize it's like when you go into this field, it is not a big money maker, people. I don't care what you think.
Not at
You
all.
do this because you're passionate about finding the truth, sharing the truth, educating people on it, and you put a lot of your heart and soul into it, and you get a lot of raised eyebrows because of the subject matter. But mostly, people are really curious, and it's like, it's really it's something that you do for passion. It really is. It's really passionate stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I so dig like everything that you stand for, and you got this television show project, this Maybelline. How is that coming along?
It is. So let me tell you, when they tell you that anything happens like overnight success, it's not true. Especially in television and feature films. My God, does it take forever? So it is moving very slowly up the chain of command at a couple of big companies that I'm not permitted to say.
Yeah.
Are looking for showrunners, and once they find a showrunner, then you can pretty much assure that they're going to go ahead and put it into production.
Wow.
And so my agent or my manager will, call or email, oh my God, no. It's like, all right, forward movement. And then it'll stop for the next 3 months and we'll hear nothing. So it is.
You're Paul. I'm the new Sprint intern.
Sprint plus
Intern. Yeah, clever, right? Look at getting an amazing iPhone 8.
Yeah, because
They have an all-glass design, advanced cameras.
I'm going to
give your second phone to your new friend. Wow, Paul!
Now lease one iPhone 8 and give a second one on us. Visit your local Sprint store, sprint.com/iPhone, or call 1-800-SPRINT1 today.
iPhone 8 64GB $29.17 a month. Second iPhone 8 after $29.17 a month. Credit applied within 2 bills. Requires 2 new lines or 1 new and 1 upgrade with 18-month leases. Early termination results in full balance due. Excludes tax subject to credit and third activation restrictions apply.
And I have a number of projects that are doing that, whether TV or feature film, where I'll get 25 phone calls in 2 days and everything. Oh my God, and I'm so excited and everything is like, get this to me now, blah, 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 frantic. And then 3 months go by and there's no word. And
Hurry
then
up
all
and
of a
wait.
sudden it happens again.
Hurry up
I
wait.
always tell writers, don't get into TV and film unless you can deal with that. Yeah. And it can go on for years before you actually sell something. You'll have people say, oh, but blah, blah, blah. It's like, do you realize that it took George Lucas years and years just to get a studio to take Star Wars and, nothing. You're better off going and writing a novel and self-publishing it if you want something with your name on it really quickly.
And Stephen King, didn't he get turned down like 40 times? And he was a school teacher. And I mean, it's like you got to really believe in your projects and your product. And it's like,
if you have money, you want to go make a little independent short film, but you better again be prepared for a couple of years of running it through the film festival circuit. And but it is exciting, and Maybelline is it's one of the most iconic brands in the world. The story is so fascinating. People have no idea the drama and the family intrigue, and the anything from murders and arson and this, that, and everything that goes on. And I'm not saying all that necessarily with Maybelline, but there is a lot of incredible drama that happened for Maybelline to become, one of the biggest cosmetic brands, if not the biggest, from 1919 to today. So it's just a really big, sprawling kind of dynasty, or Dallas, but with cosmetics. And so it's getting up there, and I have a feeling something will happen, but by then I'll probably be like, oh, all right, well, whatever.
Nothing fazed you. For the longest time, me and my friends had a good old time saying, oh, maybe that's a train. No, maybe it's Maybelline. We could just say that to anything.
Right? Yeah, maybe it's slogan. Maybelline.
Yes, it applies to
so
everything.
Yeah, but it's really, when I read the book that it's based on, I was just blown away. I couldn't believe what this iconic brand, what was behind it, what the families went through, and it literally spans, so many generations from, again, the 1920s to today and through 2 world wars and Vietnam. And cosmetics were so important during world wars. And I didn't really know that, but they were keeping women glamorous and beautiful was a morale booster for soldiers, that were away fighting at wars. And it's just absolutely fascinating stuff.
I have to say, this is so crazy. It's like, we think because, grandma's so stately and proper, and because it was the old days that people were so prim and trim. And I was watching a documentary, Anderson Cooper, essentially interviewing his mother, Mrs. Vanderbilt. And wow, if my mother did what his mother had done, and scandalous, just a homewrecker of sorts, and you're trying to interview her with a straight face, I'm like, there goes some history for you there, Marie, to dig into that story, because that is treacherous stuff. Treacherous.
The stories
she has a kid that
he
won't
must
talk
have
to
of
her.
his own mother. It's amazing.
She has a kid that won't talk to her for years, and one just jumped out the window right in front of her. I'm like, what? Like these things that, there's history that's walking among us that we think was so, fantastic, and it just isn't.
It's like you watch TV and you see a commercial for, Ford Motor Company, for a car. And, or like Tesla, the cars, and then, to read about Elon Musk and how he started and where he is today. And people don't realize the depth of history behind things that they take for granted. It's like if you're a woman, you open your cosmetics drawer, and chances are you have Maybelline mascara in there. Great lash, and I'm sure that there's great histories behind Tupperware or, Glad bags, whatever, trash bags. It's just amazing, like the Walmart family. I'm sure they've got one hell of a history to tell too.
And speaking of Elon Musk, I saw a question posed in an article recently. How can we have more Elon Musks in the world? And the Teslas and Einstein, and it turns out all of them kind of had issues in school. They didn't learn traditionally. So, what do you think? How can we get more of these geniuses coming up? But Elon Musk, he did get his degree, but I don't know. People told Einstein the worst things.
Did Steve Jobs drop out of college, or who was the one that dropped out of college?
He sure did, and he was a troublemaker all the way up. Yep, he sure was.
I think you have to let people, just let people be who they are. And, I'm not one of those people that bashes public schools, because we have really great schools here. But my son goes to a charter school. It's through the public school system, but it's basically for kids that were not physically able to go to school. When he was having a lot of surgeries, he wasn't able to go physically into a classroom.
Yeah.
And or if it's for kids that are homebound, that are have cerebral palsy or what have you. So anyway. Mm-hmm. But the school also is for kids that don't learn at the same rate as high school.
Where's Lucy? Where's Lucy?
Did you hear her?
I did. I heard.
She's so annoying.
There she goes. There she blows.
So anyway, so he can go into. There is a physical school he can go to, because now he's fine, but it also allows you to do it from home. You could do it at 2:00 in the morning. You have teachers, you email, you talk on the phone, what have you. So I think kids need to have more variety in how they can learn. Because, I hated school. I hated it. All of the education that I got, I got when I got home, because I would go to the library and read 10, 20 books a week. Now, other kids love school. They thrive in it. They love the social atmosphere. Yes, Lucy, we hear you. We hear you, yes. So, more variety available to kids would be great.
Yeah, I gotcha. Now, since I last had you on the program, have you had any odd things go on in your life? I mean, you've written books about demons, for crying out loud. Something has to have tipped your scale to have seen or witnessed something.
Okay, let's see. Since I last talked to you.
Or just dig whichever was your most prolific one, your craziest experience.
Nothing really, except just being a little bit harassed by Church of Scientology. Does that count?
Oh, that's paranormal. That's paranormal. How'd you get on their radar?
Wars. Honestly, not anything paranormal, thankfully. But my sister, who lives next door, they have a ghost. His name is Bill, and a lot of people have been there that have seen him and encountered. He's a nice ghost. He's very friendly. I'm probably the only one that has been over there and hasn't. I've not. But you know what? But I mean, that bugs me. It's like, wait a second. I'm supposed to be studying this stuff.
That is
but
wild.
No, I haven't recently. And honestly, I think the last couple of years, I don't think I've had anything really unusual happen.
But now,
in a paranormal sense.
You got on, this is fascinating though, you got on target from a Scientologist because of your book, Mind Wars? What did you say about him?
We wrote, and the funny thing is like I've seen Leah Remini's series, and I watched, it was on HBO, Clear, the documentary. Oh my God,
Going
real
Clear.
Heavy duty. Going clear. Thank you.
I've seen it. It's good.
And so, I mean, that's heavy duty harassment. But so we devoted just a few pages in our section on cults in Mind Wars to Scientology. And I had been told by a friend of mine who's really, really big in the conspiracy field, be ready, because they're probably listening on my phone call. They are aware of anybody who writes anything negative about them. Even
That's
if
why
it's a
your phone was
paragraph,
messing up. That's
like
why
on
we
somebody's blog. And they will start to harass you. But their harassment is very subtle is probably not the right word. I don't know. It's just really like they don't, they're not following me or anything, but I get a lot of unidentifiable phone calls. I get letters from them saying, we can't wait to have you come up to LA and meet with us and become a member. And they put me on their mailing list, so I get all these magazines and stuff. And yeah, the really creepy thing was the very first thing that they sent me after Mind Wars was released was a letter, and I save everything in case I disappear, that said, in 1994, you bought a copy of Dianetics, and we're waiting for you to come in. We think you would make a great member, or something like that.
No.
And they had my old address and my maiden name from when Jones is not my real name. So I was really creeped out. And then I realized, yes, I did buy a copy of Dianetics at a used bookstore in North Hollywood. Just out of curiosity. I bought like a snaggled paperback at this, what's the name? It's a famous used bookstore on Vine in North Hollywood. Or Studio City, excuse me. I don't know if it's there anymore, but how the hell did they know that? It was a used copy.
That's disturbing. Wow.
So I was telling a friend of mine, I get their magazines, I'll start saving them for him because he hates them.
Wow. Maybe that's why we had a bad connection to begin with here. They were listening.
Well, I will say that when Larry and I were working on the book, again, a couple of people told me, be very careful. Just, be careful. And I would have a lot of my cell phone just going on and off, and, computer issues, phone issues, even landline. And that's one of the things that these people said would happen, as if these demons, which are supposed to be ancient, are using our modern technology as a way to drive us crazy, and harass us and annoy us. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Man, if I, being a Christian lady, if I went out and attacked everybody who put Jesus, doing whatever crazy thing, like on Family Guy and all these cartoons, South Park, he's doing drugs and getting married and all this stuff. And I'm like, I always see Jesus getting abused to the craziest extent. And I'm like, my goodness, if I reacted as some people do.
Oh, yeah. Well, the worst was when I wrote my very first book, Science, which was really about quantum physics trying to explain the paranormal, parallel universes and even consciousness. I got death threats. So much harassment that I had to call the FBI.
Come on.
From that book, because of one thing. In the book, I talked about the 0-point field, and I equated it to a god-like force.
Wow.
And all hell broke loose.
My goodness.
Since then, I've done a lot of books and not had any other issues, but that book, I had to talk to the FBI, their cyber crime unit, and there were 2 religious fanatics that were threatening to kill me, and it was really ridiculous.
Wow, you're crazy.
I equated the scientific theory, to something godly, the creative and regenerative, and that was really scary.
And now every other person I talk to thinks we're all God. So what's it matter? It's like we're all God. There was nobody better. We're all the best. I'm like, okay.
It's just crazy. the people, it's like if you challenge their, what they think they know, even if I'm just saying, well, this is my opinion,
right?
The way people will attack you. The other really interesting thing that happened is I wrote about, and I don't remember even what book it was, but I said something negative about the Church of Satan. And I proceeded to get a bunch of emails from members who wanted to set me straight on what they really practiced. And that was actually really interesting.
Yeah, it's not what you think.
These
That's what I've learned.
people were not what I thought they were.
They're not Satanists
and it
so
was
much.
like, I had to correct myself.
Yeah.
So that was kind of weird. But scary stuff. I was scared when I was writing the book. I will admit that, but really nothing, It's not like I stood in the middle of my bedroom and did a circle and said the names of demons. I'm not going to do something like that. Because even with a scientific bend, I still would not tempt fate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. But you are brave, some of the stuff. But my goodness, it's like you're just grazing heck wherever you go. Now, put out your website again, because we got less than a minute. We got to wrap this up.
Okay. Well, it's mariedjones.com for the books. And Where's Lucy Productions.
Where's Lucy?
.com for the film and TV stuff.
My goodness, you are a busy lady. I'm so impressed with everything that you do, and I do keep up on your little adventures. You just blow my mind, and of course having the same literary agent who's fantastic. I always get she wants us to work together at some point. She's like, I just want you to do something.
Saying, you guys need your own TV show. We're like, well,
yes.
Well,
yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Get on it, Lisa.
Right. Well, I have to thank
Would
you
that
so
not be hysterical?
Yeah. I have to thank you so much for coming on the show. Marie D. Jones, everybody. This was so much fun. We will definitely have to do this again. You guys,
Sounds
remember you can catch me here every Friday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. You've been listening to me, Heidi Hollis, the Outlander. Remembering always, if it's weird, we're here. And stay tuned for UFO headline news that I host coming right up. Good night, everybody.